Dan, it comes down to three key issues: jobs, healthcare, and the manufacturing industry right here in Ohio. State Democrats are saying Trump failed to keep some of his key election promises with his first campaign. That doesn't seem to be deterring his supporters, as you can see, hundreds of them waiting to hear the president speak later today.
So right now, that's exactly what police are looking at: who the driver of this car is and where they may be. You can see where they crashed, however, this morning into the wall of the River Birch Village apartments.
They're trying to put together a full picture based on the evidence in hand, and I want to show you, we're right here in the parking lot of Ken's Bar, one of the crime scenes that police are looking at. You can see gunfire has sprayed the windshield of this SUV.
Everyone who's come to visit says he was one of the good ones. A woman came by just a bit ago sharing a story about how Officer Dia helped her son when he was in crisis and helped keep him out of jail. Everyone has nothing but fond words and memories to say of him, but despite this tragedy, if there is one ray of hope, it is everyone supporting each other, coming together to offer words of encouragement and love.
That was due to an online invitation that had this party open to everyone. That's what police tell us. And you can see how it's transformed this neighborhood. Crime scene tape weaving in and out of cars and around the neighborhood, secured on fences as well as street signs. And I don't really have words for what happened this morning. We know that those two vehicles, a motorcycle and a car, ultimately crashed right here at Bennett, leaving a woman lying here in the street on Bennett. You can actually still see some of the debris and orange evidence markers from police. She says you can see them clear as day on that surveillance footage, which police will be taking a look at. But I want to show you how this happened. You can see the shattered glass this morning. Police tell us that the men actually used a pickup truck, attached it to the doors of this stop and go, and used it to pry the doors open, causing that glass to shatter.
We're still in those preliminary stages, right? So all of this information could change. But from what we know so far, that plane in 24DR was coming from Laredo, Texas, made a stop in Millington, Tennessee, and then was coming from Millington, Tennessee to Toledo Express Airport. And it landed around the same time that this plane over to my left crashed. So right now, investigators are trying to piece the two together and looking into whether or not the two could be one in the same plane.
Well, new this morning, Michigan's governor says the Trump administration is blocking her state from getting personal protective equipment, or PPE. Governor Gretchen Whitmer says she can't get contractors to fulfill orders she has placed. She says that's because PPE is going to the federal government first. She points out her state isn't alone. So we still have a long way to go in our fight against the coronavirus. The state's top doctor says the coronavirus pandemic may not peak here in Ohio until mid-May. Good morning. I want to give you an update on that accident that we've been tracking for the past hour on I-75. As you can see, things are beginning to clear up. No more red, no more orange, just yellow just yet. And if we take a look at our live camera, it looks like traffic is flowing smoothly right there at I-75 on southbound I-75, where that accident happened at South Avenue. So if you're heading out on southbound I-75 this morning, give yourself a few extra minutes, but you shouldn't face any issues. That's your Contrada Law Firm First Alert Traffic.
Cars are filtering out. We're seeing the last line of our safety forces make their way into that motorcade. There were 3 lines of cars, and now we are down to the last one. So this motorcade will be arriving at Toledo Memorial Park shortly, one way to pay tribute to Officer Anthony Dia's memory. And I think one thing we've been hearing over and over from friends and family members, as well as our Toledo Police Department today, is how well he exemplified being a member of the Toledo Police Department, how well he wore the badge as an officer. And we've been seeing fire trucks. We're seeing now City of Toledo vehicles, as well as Toledo police officers in their own personal vehicles now, making their way to support Anthony Dia and his family. His family tells me, as well as his friends, and you heard this said during his ceremony, he was a true shaheed, which in Islamic faith means a martyr. And it's a high honor to do this, sacrificing yourself for your faith, your family. It's an honorable position, and it's one that our community has said, Anthony Dia, you exemplify this. I think one of the most overwhelming moments of the day for everyone was before sunset when Anthony Diaz's wife and 2 sons came to say goodbye. There was not a dry eye as his sons cried, and family members and friends held each other and tried to offer support. And even after the sun has set, people are still continuing to come out, put flowers, words of encouragement and appreciation as they try to say goodbye as well. With the loss of an officer, thousands of hearts shatter in an instant.
And then worse when you find out how and why, just so senseless. It's just so senseless on how he lost his life and why he lost his life. So it was devastating.
Officer Diaz's last words were, "Tell my family I love them." Now Diaz's community is saying, "We love you." Balloons, flowers, and other tokens pay tribute to him across multiple spaces of the Home Depot parking lot. This is where he responded to his last call to serve and protect. Some people feel a responsibility to pay their respects.
My sister was a police officer with Toledo. I had friends who were Toledo police officers, and Toledo police officers have been that child did not deserve to die like that.
Others want to teach their children. One mother visited the memorial and came back with her husband and 2 sons in tow.
We've watched throughout June as the unrest began, and we saw the racial tensions, and we want to learn. We want to understand. And we have friends that are police officers, so this is very, very moving to us, and it's not something I want to see happen in my friends.
No matter who you are, you can feel the heartbreak. It's heard in stifled sobs. It's seen in the hugs of grieving brothers and sisters in blue. It's felt in the grim reality that a brother, son, husband, and a human life is not coming back.
He is just a great kid. He was just a great young man. He was a great father. He's a great son, great brother. Everyone that knew Anthony, he just was always smiling. Just a great kid. It's just so tragic.
We're waiting for a tow truck to begin to tow that blue Dodge car out of the apartment. Chuck Gleason, you live inside of this apartment. Can you describe what you heard around 5 this morning?
There was just a big explosion. I thought the apartment complex is exploded.
You say you walked out and saw smoke billowing.
Smoke was just billowing in the living room, and I tried to get to the car, but there was so much smoke, and then I heard voices, people screaming, and then I just came back into the bedroom and busted out the window and crawled out.
So you crawled out that window right behind you?
Right there, yes.
Wow. So one of the things you were telling me is that if you had been sleeping in your reclining chair in the living room like you normally do, you wouldn't be here to tell this story.
I wouldn't be here right now. I would not be here, that's for sure.
You're shaking. Is this becoming a little bit more real for you?
It's more real now that it's light out and I can see more, and it's just, everything's kind of settling in right now, but it's real.
I know one of the things that Toledo Fire was looking at is whether or not the building was structurally safe. They were saying this car had to be going at such a high rate of speed because the wall is pushed to the back of your apartment.
Yes, the one police officer probably said at least 60 to 80 miles an hour down Woodley.
Wow. And Woodley is the street just across from your apartment. That car, if you look at the tire tracks, there are tracks perpendicular, so you can see just how fast it was going.
Oh, yeah, and just the impact, the explosion, it was just, I'm surprised the driver survived.
One of the things you were telling me you heard is actually someone yelling possibly at the driver. You say you didn't see the driver. We know he's on the run. He or she is on the run right now. Police are looking for that driver. They don't have them in custody, but you heard a neighbor probably yell something at them.
Yeah, I heard it. I heard the neighbor upstairs yell, "You can run, but you're not going to get far." But I did not see the driver. I did not see the driver myself running, but he saw him running.
And you're hoping to get a new apartment.
I'm hoping.
Chuck, we're so glad you're with us. Thank you for sharing your story this morning.
Thank you.
Right now, Toledo police are working with a tow truck to get the car out of Chuck Gleason's apartment. Police say that the evidence spans all the way up the street here on Baker past Elm and all the way down here in front of this house where the graduation party was. Now, you can see this is where police are beginning to wrap up their investigation. Multiple shell
casings found outside of this home, as well as bullet holes inside of this blue-gray house. We've seen Toledo Police's Scene Investigations Unit walk around taking pictures and trying to figure out the pattern of the gunfire spray. If you take a look here in the front, you can see the balloons celebrating this graduation party and congratulating graduates or a graduate from the Glass City Academy. That officer was trying to protect two women from a man who had assaulted them earlier in the morning. Now you can see it was in this apartment complex, the vicinity on Black Oak Drive, that police responded to a domestic violence call before 5 this morning. Now they say when they arrived, they found two women who had been assaulted. Ultimately, those women were okay. They did not need to be taken to the hospital, but the suspect got away before police got here. Another officer out on patrol actually spotted the suspect's vehicle but didn't pursue him. Police didn't want to endanger the public by initiating a pursuit, but police say that this is a known suspect, so they decided to come back and get him with a warrant later. But if you take a walk with us a little bit more this way, you can see police were concerned that the man would actually come back to the apartment complex, and he did come back. An officer spotted him pulling into the apartment complex in his silver car, you can see right in front of us, and the officer got out of his car, according to the police chief, and started to approach the suspect. That's when he accelerated in his silver car. The police officer fired shots, and the suspect peeled away, ultimately crashing into the back of this Jeep. You can see a little bit of debris and other items scattered about the outside of this car. Incoming backup officers rendered first aid to the suspect sitting there inside of his car, and both the officer and the suspect, that man involved in the domestic violence incident, were taken to the hospital.
Let me tell you, Tim, it seems to get more lively with each day. I've been smelling burning rubber as cars whiz past and squeal their tires, car horns honking to show signs of support. One of the reasons they got so lively is because Jeep's second shift just got off and joined the picketers right here on the line. One of them with me this morning is Kentrell. Kentrell, we've been hearing a lot of shouting of different slogans, one of them being UAW, the other one fight, one family. What does that mean to you? Because you don't work for GM, you work for Jeep.
Well, one fight, one family means support and standing for the same cause. We are here and we represent the middle class America. We're working force, and we would like everyone to know that we're here to support our GM brothers and sisters.
Look at the porch. It's just, I can't believe this house hasn't even fallen down.
Painful memories spring into Belinda Brooks' mind. This dingy house on Toledo's east side nearly became her daughter's coffin.
She was probably going to die because she had not used for 6 days, and she probably could overdose, you know.
Belinda vividly remembers dropping her daughter just 6 days out of Flower Hospital off at this house. Nicole had promised to go into drug treatment. She abandoned that promise for drugs.
A point in our life, which I think was probably the lowest point, my dad and I'm not going to cry, we were planning her funeral with our funeral director because we didn't think she was going to make it.
Yeah. Like so many parents plagued by a child's addiction, Belinda says she was an enabler. She unwittingly fueled her daughter's addiction since high school. Dropping her daughter off at a drug house was the breaking point.
I have to figure out how to cut my emotional ties with her because she's going to destroy our family. Because I have 2 other kids, and I'm raising her son, and if I don't figure out how to do this, she's going to kill herself, but she's going to kill the rest of us too. Yeah, we spent a lot of time picking her up and giving her rides around here.
That's when Belinda and Nicole met tough love, Dennis Whaley.
She was not a happy camper. She was so angry at me, and I went and seen her probably the first or second day after that, and she called me a lot of names. And I said, you know, I'm just here to try to help you to keep you alive.
Dennis believed Nicole would be dead from an overdose within a week if she bonded out of jail. He asked a judge to raise her bond by $15,000. She was arrested by the FBI in late 2015.
Every time she got arrested and was in jail or court, Dennis would show up. Hey, Nicole, you ready yet?
Belinda believes DART Officer Whaley offered her daughter the accountability she needed. She says his dedication to Nicole helped land her in the correctional treatment facility. For the first time, Belinda felt peace.
Able to sleep at night and kind of get functional again as a parent, and I didn't have to worry about her. You know, I didn't have to worry about her overdosing or using, because she was here for 5 months.
From there, it just blossomed into a friendship that we've continued now for 4 years. We need each other, absolutely. That keeps us grounded.
It's that friendship that's helped turn Nicole into a thriving mother for the past 3 years. Belinda feels grateful for Dennis.
not just for what he's done with Nicole, but what he does with all these other kids, all these other family members and these kids and aunts and uncles and even parents. You know, he spends hours upon hours a day helping others.
Beyond his dedication, Belinda appreciates a friendship she hopes makes others see recovery is always possible. For Dennis, it's about the lives he's not touching.
I wish I could help more people and get more people into treatment and get them fixed.
Tough love has forged a forever friendship. Ariyl Onstott, WTOL 11.